What's up guys? Lightning Eagle 14 here, soaring back into your everyday life with another video. In this video we're going to be talking about Nerf melee weapons and sort of their uses and practicality. Generally, are they effective or not, and also sort of the safety of them, because it's kind of a controversial topic among Nerfers, because you get people who are like, I go to Nerf events to Nerf, not to LARP, and I don't want any swords and any of that crap in my games. And you get other people who are just like, yeah, they're pretty fun, I like using them. And then you get other people who are like, they're completely unsafe, they should not be allowed. And so it's kind of a controversial topic. Each person has their own opinion on it. So in this video, I'm going to be discussing that general topic and going over my thoughts on it. And I'd also love to hear your thoughts on the issue. And if you have any comments or concerns, or if you feel differently about the topic than me and want to disagree with me, feel free to leave that in the comments section below. And if you have any super cool stories of how you got 15 tags in a row with just your sword, feel free to leave those in the comments section below as well. So getting right on into it, starting off with the practicality, the main opinion or general thought when you talk about this topic is, why would you bring a sword to a gunfight? You know, why would you bring something that you have to touch someone with to tag them over a blaster, which can shoot very fast and also can hit ranges of 100 feet or more depending on what it is. But it's not really as simple as that, because they do definitely have their advantages in my opinion, and they're very useful, especially in certain situations. And it also sort of depends on the player. But those situations are close quarters combat and situations where you're dealing with lower powered blasters. So in situations like a house or an indoor Nerf arena, they can be very effective because you're basically decreasing that range advantage that the blaster has over the sword. And that really increases their effectiveness. And they have some very specific advantages or benefits that something like a blaster really doesn't have at all. And one of those is the ability to blind attack, basically where you reach your arm around a corner, sort of blindly attack someone without exposing yourself. And that can be very effective if you already know the person is there. And if you were to do that with something like a blaster, you could shoot at them, but you're also very likely to miss because you can't see them. But with a sword, it's a lot easier to just sort of swipe and move your arm around until you hit that person. So it's a lot more effective that way. And another advantage is that you don't have to reload a sword. This might seem self-explanatory, but with a blaster, when you're reloading, you're very vulnerable. And when you stop to reload, obviously you can't shoot. So with a sword, you don't have to deal with that at all, because you practically have, if you want to look at it this way, infinite ammo, which is kind of cool. You can basically just attack at someone all day long until you want to stop. And that's pretty useful. So another advantage they have is stealth. With a sword, you are making practically no noise at all. With something like a flywheeler, the moment you rev up those flywheels, you're going to expose yourself and people are going to know where you are. This is especially useful if you're trying to surprise a group of people, basically take them all out from behind or something like that. With a sword, you can just move from one person to the next and slap, 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 and take them all out. But once you rev up your flywheels or start firing away with your springer, you're going to expose yourself, and other people are much more likely to notice you. Another advantage that they have is that they're hard to miss with. With something like a blaster, if you're not pointed directly at the person, you're going to miss. But with something like a sword, you can just swipe or sort of slash and do these wide swipes, and it's a lot harder to miss. And the last sort of advantage is that it's just a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to run a melee and shield loadout in Nerf Force. And so that's everything I want to cover for practicality. Moving on to safety. So looking at safety, what may be safe or what a player might consider safe is not the same as what a game organizer would consider safe. Because as a game organizer, you have to consider that if someone gets hurt, or damaged or upset or something, they could sue you, and that's really bad because that can shut down your Nerf wars and you can be forced to pay huge amounts of money. And even if it wasn't your fault or if it was an accident, if the court still believes you're responsible and that it was negligence or something of that nature, then you're going to have to pay huge amounts of money. And even things like a waiver do not completely protect you from that. A waiver is not a cure-all, end-all, basically just absolute power. It does not protect you from all responsibility. You can still have the blame placed on you. It does reduce the chances of that, and it has to be obviously written by a lawyer and someone who knows the legal system, but they are not going to completely protect you from the blame either. So you have to basically take that into consideration and be a lot stricter with your safety rules. And so obviously everyone wants a melee weapon that isn't going to cause them physical pain, but that's not really as cut and dried, as defined as you would think it is, because different people have different pain tolerances. What an older nerfer would consider say doesn't hurt is not the same necessarily as what a younger nerfer would say doesn't hurt. And so you have to be mindful of that. And another thing you have to consider with the whole pain tolerance thing is your hit speed and your hit strength. So if you were to hit someone with a melee weapon with a light tap to the chest, it's probably not going to hurt. But if you were to hit them full force in the face, that's definitely going to hurt. And you have to be mindful of that. So as a game organizer, you have three options. You have option one, which is full ban. You just ban out all the melee weapons and say, I don't want to mess with it, and I don't want to deal with the possibility of someone getting hurt accidentally or intentionally. And then there's option two, which is a partial ban. You basically restrict what can be used. You have sort of a safety check or safety standards for what makes an acceptable melee weapon. And that's up to you, but I would strongly suggest looking over the guidelines used by full contact boffer LARP groups like AmpGuard and Belgarth. And option three is a usage ban. Basically have strict guidelines on how you allow them to be used and how you want them to be used. And that's basically what I use for my wars. So if you are going to use a melee weapon, please be careful with it. Swing only to lightly tap or tag, and do not swing full force at anyone ever. And never aim for the head or other sensitive body parts. And that's what I wrote into my rules. And obviously as a game organizer, if you're going to use that sort of methodology, you have to be very clear about when you want you have to be very clear that that's how you want them to be used and that you do not allow them to be used in other ways. So you basically just want to tell everyone that at the start of the game and make sure everyone is clear on that. See, I think that's everything that I wanted to talk about for melee weapons. As I said in the beginning, if you have any questions or comments or concerns, or just disagree with me on this, or have stories, feel free to leave those in the comment section down below. That's going to do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and especially for watching through this sort of long, kind of rambly video, but hopefully you enjoyed or thought it was interesting at least. And that's going to do it for this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.